Is anybody out there? Anybody?
We are College Hill Farm.
Welcome back to College Hill Farm. Well, today we're continuing our series on casual and complementary prepping. And we're starting to look at how preppers need to prep for psychosocial wellness of the people in their group. Now, there are a lot of reasons to prep for this. Us old timers, sometimes we forget that there will be psychosocial requirements for all the members of our group. As leaders, we should plan for those. And in planning for those, one of the best things you can do is look at some of the leading psychology about how people develop. Now, in 1943, a psychologist by the name of Abraham Maslow came up with what he termed as a hierarchy of needs. In other words, there are basic fundamental things that have to be met in order for humans to progress and reach that self-awareness, that self-confidence in their ability and being their competent self. So let's take a look at Maslow, and this is going to help old preppers, young preppers, people just starting out to think about how to plan for the needs of all those in your group and how leaders should look at the way they plan and how they look at the way they adapt for those in their group. Okay, that big old human brain of yours is your best tool to help you survive in a SHTF situation. It is your best number one tool. We get caught up sometimes in food and bullets, and we forget that this is your number one tool, and it's okay to be smart. So let's look at Maslow's list, and we'll start off with physiological needs. Now, physiological needs, if we go down to the basics, they almost match human instinct. Okay, we go down to the basics: food, water, air, shelter, okay, clothing. That's a basic human need. Even sex is a basic human need in reproduction. So you have to think about all of those things. Let's take an example. Addiction is a huge problem in America. And why is it such a huge problem? Well, it fits right in here with Maslow's needs. It is that physiological need for something. An example would be if you had somebody that was choking you and they were cutting off your air, you would fight like a demon to get loose. Well, a drug addict would do the same thing. The addiction is so powerful that they will do anything to have it. So that is also part of this lower part of Maslow's needs. When we think about physiological needs, while it's a chemical dependency, it is a physiological need. So any addiction, even minor addictions like nicotine. Nicotine is a good example. Nicotine is a minor addiction. It's a major health problem, but it's a minor addiction. So if we think about nicotine, people will go to great lengths to barter for that stuff. It's one of those things that leaders in a group need to understand the importance of these social and psychological things. They'll barter for nicotine, alcohol. Look, being addicted to alcohol is one of the most dangerous substances in the world to try and come off of. An alcoholic who's been an alcoholic for years can go into DTs and die. Okay, they have to detox in order to come off of the sauce. So it can be really tough for them. And they'll do anything to get their alcohol. They'll say anything they'll do whatever. And it leads to a lot of abuse and things. So even small things, humans need those basic human needs. So leaders need to understand that and be prepared for it. The next level on Maslow's hierarchy is safety and security. Now, a lot of us think of safety and security as bunkers and ammo, and that's not it. Safety and security, it can include that, but safety and security is actually a perception and a reality at the same time. For some people, security and safety might be the security of those common everyday things that they do. If they can continue their life with those common everyday things, they consider themselves safe and secure and happy. Well, not necessarily happy, but safe and secure. For example, somebody that's in a SHTF situation that has a nice house and food stored up and things like that, even if the safety is too great, then they're going to have to leave. They'll be reluctant to leave because the house and what they had was their security. And those things have to be taken into account by leaders in the prepping community. We have to understand that people need safety, security, and stability. For some folks, it's a stable relationship, okay, a stable friendship. Some people feel all the time that their friends are turning on them because they don't know how to maintain a stable friendship. And those things are going to be very, very important. Some folks are really good at getting beyond their emotions and seeing a situation for the way it really is. Some people can't get past their emotions and are emotional in situations when common everyday horse sense, using that big old human brain, would be a lot better for them, but they just can't. They're very emotional, and that's just the way they are. Leaders need to understand that. Now, some folks respond to every threat with violently. That's what they do. In the prepping community, people call them hammers. And to hammer every problem is a nail. So they do things in a way that's more along the violent and threat type, and you have to be ready for those. We call them bullies too. You have to be ready for those kind of people in those situations. Now, safety and security can really be a threat or not threat. Some people will do anything for safety and security. But what you have to remember, that as preppers, you're going to think that you need to be all alone and just you and your immediate family and you'll be just fine. Look, even Clint Eastwood said it in the movie Pale Rider. A man alone is easy prey. So you're going to need a community. It takes a community. Prepping should be a community-minded activity. Let me say that again. Prepping should be a community-minded activity. Now, but in that, you're going to have folks. And you're going to have to see to their safety and security. You may be the leader. You may be good at one part, and somebody else is going to have to be good at another part. And you may have people that are good at bringing everything together, and people who are good at just focusing on what they're good at. Okay, some people can focus on what they're good at, but when they get outside their comfort zone, they're hesitant and they don't know what to do, or either they'll be false competent and just make it up as they go rather than saying, I need help. Okay, there are those kinds of folks, and the portion of safety and security takes us to the point where you have to be able to recognize those and take care of it. You don't want somebody standing guard who's afraid of the dark. And finally, safety and security has to take into account health care. Let me say that again. Safety and security has to take in health care. People who are sick are afraid of what's going to happen to them. So you have to be able to, in your prepping, take care of health care. You need that first aid kit. You need to have somebody that knows about medical stuff. You need those kinds of things in your community so that as you prep, that part, health care, is part of your safety and security. The next on the list is social needs. Now, after SHTF, social needs are going to be very important. Some people are going to turn to religion. Some people are going to just seek out friends and family. Those things are going to be super, super important. And a good leader needs to know what to look for in that situation. You need community. Humans will seek it out. It's the third level of their needs. They'll seek all that out. So a good leader needs to understand that no man is an island. So in order to get to this point, people have to have met the first two goals. Their needs, their basic needs, their safety and security, and now they're working on their social needs. And social needs means they're going to need friends, they're going to need family, they're going to need community, they're going to need all these things. And groups will band together. After a major SHTF, groups of people will band together because they need each other. And what will happen is some of these groups will have very hard community rules, and others will have very lax community rules. And as we look at these rules, the different communities will form around the rules. Now, very harsh rules can make people feel like level 2 is not achieved. And if level 2 is not achieved, there will be very little harmony within the group. The group will be unsafe. And it will be unsafe in a real manner, not just in thought or action. It'll be unsafe. There'll be strife and there'll be violence. So you have to plan for that kind of thing. Leaders who are hammers have groups that are hammers. So it's a very dangerous situation. Leaders need to be multidimensional and not hammers. Because if you're just a hammer, then your group is going to be violent and dangerous. And if there's another group across the way that's led by a hammer, you need to watch out for them. They're dangerous. The fourth level is appreciation and respect. Everybody wants to be a person of dignity and worth and be appreciated and respected. And they'll go to great lengths to get that. They'll use violence, they'll use sex, they'll use charisma. Everybody wants to be in that portion. But hammers need respect too. But remember, their way of getting respect is that everything's a nail. So they'll lead by fear. Beware of those groups. Avoid them if you can. Every group will have individuals who are good at different things. There are going to be carpenters, electricians, gardeners, nurses. Okay? Don't put a nurse on the wall. She's going to be good at nursing and caring for people. She's not going to be good at standing on the wall, stand and watch. Just not. Leaders should understand this. And when they get to appreciation level, a nurse is appreciated for her abilities. Okay? So, allow her to be appreciated for her abilities. Now, it doesn't mean that everybody out there doesn't have to pull their weight at different things. But people will be good. Carpenters and electricians would not be good in a garden, although they might have to garden some. Your gardener will not be good, may not be good at any of this other stuff, but he might have to help some. You see what I'm saying? Allow people to receive the recognition that they need. That way they get the appreciation and respect that every human craves. Even leaders will need to have appreciation and respect. Leadership is one of those things that lots of humans crave. All right? You may have people that crave leadership. Well, they might be good carpenters, so they could lead a group of carpenters. They might be good farmers, so they could lead a group of farmers. You see where I'm going here. Making levels of leadership. It's why the Army makes levels of leadership. You know, they have privates, corporals, sergeants. Okay? They have levels of leadership that works within their group. So people need that as a way to advance. You know, the Army even uses the phrase, be all that you can be. And Maslow's final thing is something called self-actualization. Now, self-actualization means that a person has become good at what they do, they've become competent, they've become self-aware, and they're able to do their job, not worrying about what other people are doing, and not worried about what other people are thinking. That person has reached the stage of self-actualization. You have to hope that members of your group get to that point within the leadership structure. And if they do, then your community will fare much better than communities who never make it to this level. And you have to plan for those kinds of needs for everyone in the community. Even new people who come in, leaders have to find out what they're good at. If we provide safety and security for a group, then we have to find out who's good at safety and security, who's good at level 1, making sure that we have everything we need. And those kinds of things bring us along till we become self-actualized. And leaders have to focus on that. Now, the takeaways here are that Maslow is not the end-all be-all for preppers. His hierarchy of needs are not the only things that you have to look at, but is a good starting point for beginning preppers to understand how people are going to react in certain situations based on where they are in the hierarchy. Those who are at the bottom of the hierarchy are going to react way different than those self-actualized people at the top, and you'll be able to identify that pretty quickly. Now, overlooking the needs of others is going to be a downfall within a prepping group. It just is. That's just the way that works. So you need to look at some of that. Some folks are going to turn to religious belonging, and that's the way they'll get their self-actualization. Some folks are going to be above that. People like Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr., they're not afraid of anything because of their perceived self-actualization. Okay, there aren't many of those in the world, but you know, that's the way it is. Most part, Maslow is going to bring us close to how we need to interact and deal with groups. And that is the way preppers succeed after a SHTF. Your interaction is going to be paramount to your group. Now, if you like this stuff, this homesteading, prepping, do-it-yourself kind of thing, be certain to come on out to the channel and subscribe. We do this homesteading, prepping stuff every week, sometimes 1, sometimes 5 videos. Just depends on what's going on in the homestead that week. Now, if you hit the little bell when you come to the channel, it'll notify you when we upload a video. We upload every Sunday. Now, with that being said, it's time for me to get on to the next thing.